Okay, today we're here at the podcast, the Exodus Transitional Services. We're here to showcase success after lockdown, and it's room.
Come on, baby.
Our partner Anthony Cologne.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We also here to showcase and highlight those individuals, those men and women that's formerly incarcerated, that's successful in their own right. Today we got a brother that I grew up with behind the prison system that just came home. He'll have a year out in society in a month, and he did 30 years, and I'll let him tell his story. But he's one of those success after lockdown. We also plan to we look towards him, man, for showcasing success after lockdown, with Exodus. And so we created this forum, under Julio Medina. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to y'all Mr. Michael Marshall. Yeah. So it's been a long journey. It's definitely been a long journey with you and I. Mm-hmm. So we started a long time ago, man. Mm-hmm. Early 90s, man. In Clinton Correctional Facility, man. We were young, we were babies, and I remember those times, and it was just at those times that good people stuck together. We were one, and as well as our boy and mentor. His name is Rashawn Smalls. He lives in Buffalo, New York. He's been home as well. He did 27 years. I actually did 27 years and 6 months. So I came home a couple of months before you, and we, guess what? We stood in touch, right? Exactly. We stood in touch every step of the way. We stood in touch. Exactly. Wherever we was at, we always stayed in touch. We had our families send letters to each other, and that's not legal. By the way, but we made sure we stood in touch and we stayed on. But it was for a positive cause. That's right. It was for a positive cause. That's right. That we kept on top of our growth and development. So I remember just a little background. When we was locked up and I got transferred, and Mohammed, you got transferred to Green Haven, I believe it was.
Yeah, to Green Haven.
And you was trying to get in school. Then I was waiting to go to school. I was trying to get down to Sing Sing or Easton. And I remember when you landed, I think in Easton, and you said you participated in a college program.
Yeah, ball college.
And at the same time, I participated in Mercy College, man, in Sing Sing. And so we kept on top of each other, man, all these years, man. And I'm proud to see you home, brother. I'm proud to see you here at Exodus. And I think Exodus is what takes us over the top. This is going to take us over the top. So at this time, I just would like for you to, just express to on Success After Lockdown's podcast, first annual podcast that is. Can I give some? Really going a long way with this. So I just would like for you to just tell the audience, man, your journey, man, and what you've been through in life, man, and where you at in life now, man.
Well, I consider myself fortunate after coming home in May, doing 30 years. I had excellent opportunities. I actually wanted to come home and just relax for 2 months, but God's the best of planners. Within 2 weeks, I was offered a remodeling position, with the Benitez remodeling company, to go out with them in these elaborate homes, in the Hamptons and other places. And we just went to is this place in Long Island? I forgot the name of it. No, in Queens, I think it is. I forgot what it was. It'll come back to me later. Well, we do is remodel bathrooms, whatever you need done in your home. That's what we was doing. And a friend of mine said, what are you doing that for? That's hard labor. Why don't you use the education that you have to, give back to the people, to empower the people with what your experiences and everything. Be the credible messenger. So I thought about it and I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm getting older in the game. I'm about to give something to the people, to prevent them from doing what I did or ended up like I ended up. I think that was a more pliable decision. So, me coming home, I didn't know how to use the phone. I spent $1,400 on the phone I didn't even know how to use. So during that time, I think it was that 1 month. But then when that same month I was hired for the Benitez Remodeling Company, I was on an interview, and the owner, one of the co-owners of the Benitez Company, actually hooked up the Zoom interview for me because I didn't know how to do Zoom. I still don't know how to do Zoom and a lot of computer stuff. So he hooked up the Zoom for me, and boom, it turned on. And I was asked several questions about my skill set, with job opportunities that I've had, where I've worked, things of that nature. My educational background that I have. I was interviewed by Miss Carmen Arroyo, who's the site director of ATI, which is a part of Exodus. Right, it's under the umbrella of Exodus, which is an alternative to incarceration. During the interview, I was dressed shabby. I had the construction boots on and everything, but I was also standing next to a pool. And I explained my attire, why I was dressed so shabby. And I said I had to pivot. There's two things about me that you should know. I said one is I'm straightforward, and that's the bad part about me. The second thing that's what's good about me is I know how to pivot, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm pivoting, being on this interview. And she said, "Oh, I'm glad you explained yourself because you were standing by that pool. I thought you was kidding, like you was about to get in the pool." I said, "Nah, I'm here. I'm building a deck at this house right now." I said, "But this particular pool is not mine, but I do have a pool." And that's what's fortunate about my situation. I came home, and that was the plan, to actually come home and help or continue to help build things as far as the house and stuff was concerned. House was purchased, and when I actually got there, nothing was like in the basement at all, right? So because of Exodus, gave me the opportunity to fill the void of the negative energy that I had as far as wanting to get back into the game, play catch up. Those are things I didn't want to do. So by being legal, it afforded me the opportunity to not only use my skills to get back to the community, but to get a credit card, right? To get a bank account, to actually get a driver's license. It gave me mobility. To be in an economic position to give you mobility is to do what you want to do, right? To not be told that it's time to lock in, on the count. The yard is closed because of the fog. I can actually stand out in the rain on a foggy day and enjoy the fresh air. Coming to the city is an eye opener to what people don't have, in comparison to what I do have. I can go into the backyard, go to the pond and look and see two big turtles, and a giant frog. A baby frog was actually swimming in the pool, last week, and I thought it was floating. I thought he was dead until I sprinkled water on him. He just dove to the bottom. People are not afforded the opportunities I've been afforded, and I almost feel, how would you say, ashamed by having so much, in so little time. Next month will be just a year, but I've been working hard to have that stability. Like I said, every man castle is his home, so I'm just trying to build the castle. By working in Exodus, I've earned, I actually get $43,000 a year at first when I started. Then I was quickly given a raise to 46. I was given an award as the best facilitator. Now I am the lead facilitator, creating curriculums for individuals who are injustice impacted under the umbrella of Exodus. And due to Julio Medina, he gave me the opportunity to do that. He gave me the opportunity to create curriculums that will empower individuals and not to make the poor decisions that I've made. I was arrested at age 22, and now I'm 53. And all of that time was spent in prison. Although I lived a life in the past, I've been to places, but it's given me the opportunity to continue that. I'm not ashamed or, how would you say, regretful for the things that I've missed. Right? Those things were missed because of my poor choices. Right? So I moved on from them. I don't look back on them trying to play catch up.
So I would like to know, what motivated you, during your time of incarceration, during your growth and development. But what motivated you to coming home and being that success story that we talking about right now, and doing what you're doing, and giving back to your community, and looking forward, and not looking backwards. So, if you could give me a little insight as to what motivated Michael.
Well, iron sharpens iron, and we've been together for a long time, and we talked about a lot of things, about what we're going to do when we come home, be a positive impact to the community, and education. Education was the front and foremost, on our minds, getting these degrees to back up, the intellectual knowledge that we do have, the knowledge and wisdom that we do have, and we want to impart that on the people. You have a master's degree, and I have a bachelor's, so what we're doing is trying to strengthen our people and letting them know that this is what you have to have. Although you know how to drive, you can be a NASCAR driver, but if you don't have a driver's license, you out the game, right? We can be, as knowledgeable and intellectual in all these facets, but if we don't have the degrees to back it up, then it's not really saying anything. We put those on the wall and then get to work. So we put the plaques on the wall and now we at work, building an empire. And just to be a part of it, to me it's fascinating. I get up in the morning, although I get up at 3:30 in the morning, I make that trek because it's the purpose. It's the why that I get up. The people are the why that I get up. To be impactful in society. Everyone has to have the why you do something, right? Now my son is 25 years old. All his life I've been incarcerated. But to come home and to actually hear him say, "Dad, what we doing this weekend?" at 25, and he's a police officer. He works in Long Island City, which is Queens, in the 108th precinct. To see him go out and battle on that front line, and me battling on this front line, it's amazing for us to be together. But it's also amazing to share that quality time with him. And every day with him is amazing because who knows what can happen out there during these times. When people just hate police, and I try to change the minds of our citizens on this end, because letting them know that there's a reason why police are in your neighborhood. Because of high crime. We have to understand that when you look through the lens from the other person's point of view, you get the perception of what they see and not what you perceive that's coming through their lens, right? If you're walking around at 3 o'clock in the morning in the city streets from 3 to 4, if you don't have a suit on coming from work, or they don't view you as coming from a party, then you must be committing a crime. Where I live, we don't have sidewalks. So for me, being on this side, and you're walking at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm driving, coming home from work, or going to work, because I go to work at 4 o'clock, I get the 4:41 train in the morning, and I see you walking at that time, I'm gonna question you. In my mind, like, what are you walking for? We don't have sidewalks. Like, hold up. To me, you're gonna try to burglarize something or something like that. I'm looking at it from the officer's point of view because there's no sidewalk, right? There's no reason you should be walking. No one walks out there. So if you're not driving or on a bike, and I don't see you regularly on the same path when I go regularly, right, driving to Reconquista, then I'm gonna look at you as a suspect of doing something wrong. So when you're in the city and you're out here coming from these tenement buildings, right, at this time, there has to be a purpose, there has to be a why, right? And sometimes the police may say, "Hey, listen, we got a call. There's been a robbery over here. Let me see your license and registration." And you say no, and you come back at them in a violent temper, then there's an issue. There's an issue. You have to understand where you're at. Yes.
Real quick, I want to ask you a question. So you mentioned, you did 30 years. Your son is 25.
Mm-hmm.
Have you always had a relationship with your son, or is y'all just now reignite that relationship now since you came home?
That's kind of funny that you mentioned that. Me and Mr. Benson, we've been battling to have relationships with our sons throughout the years. FRP.
Yeah, I ain't think y'all want to touch me.
No,
trust me.
To go in FRP with him, right? To have him on the phone, I had to actually break certain isms, meaning that we'd be on the phone and there's a TNT game on, and we'd be talking about it, and he'll run upstairs and say, "What's the score?" He'll run back down on the phone, and I had to actually break that because I didn't want him to believe that every time a game come out, you would have access like that because we were in prison, right? And I didn't want that to be a custom because I didn't want that heartbreak. So I had to actually mold certain things, right? Although we had a relationship, it was predicated upon the prison relationship, right? Because it was always fickle, right? So with that said, I had got locked up for 30 days on a ticket I caught, frivolous ticket. And I didn't realize he was actually counting the days. He was like, okay, the FRP was this day. And I looked at it and I was like, man, that's like extra serious. So I had to be cautious. But when I got locked up, his grandmother told him, well, ask your father why you can't make this date.
Right.
So that was like one of the hardest things for me, because that was, your kids are looking at things in a particular way and you don't notice it. So it means I'm not as well as I should be. I'm not on my A game. Right. The A game is to shut everything down.
Yeah.
Right. The A game is to stay with them in the line so much that it's like horses with blinders on. Right. Everything is good. Everything is always good, and predicated upon it. If you really love your family and yourself, you're supposed to do the right thing at all times. There should be no reason that your kid should come to you and say, why? Why I can't go. Never again would that happen. So never again was I ever locked up again for FRP. When it predicated upon him. So that was like the staple thing. We go on to FRPs, and it wasn't always playtime. We had to study certain things, and I allowed him to read and certain things like that.
Now let me ask you, during your time in incarceration, 30 years is a long time. You and I was just having a conversation. Mm-hmm. So that's like a two-part question real quick. Mm-hmm. So at what point in those 30 years, like what was your sentence, first of all? What was your sentence to?
I had a consecutive sentence. I had 20 to life, and it was 8 to 16.
Okay. All right. Like, what was that thought process when the judge banged down that gavel and said, "Hey, Mike, this is what you got to do," right? At what point in that time of incarceration that you say, "You know what? I know I got to do at least X amount of time, right? But I'm going to apply myself to educate myself and do something and create a vision or what I want for myself in my life when I get out of here," because you actually can see a projected date of getting out, right? Mm-hmm. At what time was that for you?
Well, in the beginning of my incarceration, I was still what they would consider a knucklehead.
Yeah.
I was floating through the system as though I was still in the street, mm-hmm. Economically as well. Relationship was shaky at the time, but my son was born in '97. And me and my ex-wife were not there yet as far as being intellectually inclined to deal with certain things, right? I actually gave her a story one day because we were going through issues as far as her having a boyfriend and me being incarcerated and being married. So I gave her a parable of, I have a friend, I told her, and this friend has a bird that he found, right? Little kid. My friend had a friend that has a son, and the little bird only associates with him. Anybody comes near it, it pecks, right? But the little bird always sits at the window, watching other birds go by. Should I open that window? And she broke down and said, that little bird is me. I said, yeah. This bit is hard. It's on you, right? Should I open the window? She says, no, don't open the window, don't open the window, right? So she never let me tell another story. At that moment, I realized that I had to be the child's everything. You have to feed the child knowledge and wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. You have to nourish the mind. And how could I do that from in prison? I needed every opportunity from the FRP to do that, from a visit.
Just for those that don't understand, don't know, what's the FRP?
Family and union visits. Okay. Where you can come together on certain days. I think it's like 2 days and a half that you can spend with your family. We used to go sometimes from a Thursday to Saturday, or from a Saturday to a Monday. Mm-hmm. And I use these opportunities to spend time with my family, right? To keep those family bonds tight. It wasn't at that moment that I began to slowly change, because I knew I was not living just for myself anymore. I had to live for me and him and for my family. Because when your justice impacted, your family is just impacted as well. And I realized that although they've taken care of me while I was incarcerated, I owed them, right? And the only way I can pay that debt back is to have something in my gas tank to give back, right? So I had to educate myself. I had to get, how would they say, the bars and stripes, but the bars and stripes had to be not from the streets, but it had to be through education. Right. So I fought to get into Bar College, right? I was at other colleges, but in '95 they shut those down, right? Through the new bill. And that was my opportunity at first. Although I thought that was the last one, another opportunity came up. So when I first got into to BARD, I didn't get into BARD at first. I actually failed because the competition is tough. When you go up against 120 people and they only take 16, that's tough. So I lost that battle twice. So I actually went into the food program. I got a certificate in food handling, not in food handling as far as the mess hall, but in apprenticeship, right? Albany certified cook chef.
Okay.
That took 4 years. So instead of going the route with BARD College, I immediately pivoted and went into the cook chef certification and earned that. After I earned that, I pivoted again to BARD, and after a few punches, I was in.
So it's safe to say, so it's safe to say, right? You never gave up hope. You kept fighting, and even though you got knocked down 2 times during that process trying to get into BARD, right? You said, you know what? I'm gonna go one more round. And you took some punches, and you got in. And so I think the moral of this story would be that hard work, dedication, and perseverance is always going to pay off.
Absolutely.
Right? Why don't you let us know what is it that you do here at the Exodus program and how Julio Medina and the rest of the staff here are putting you in a position that, makes you feel the way that you feel.
I'm completely grateful, not only for my site director, Ms. Carmen Arroyo, but for Julio Medina himself, for giving them the power to give me the power to be powerful or to feel powerful. I'm not big on titles, right, but they gave me the position of lead facilitator. I guess they saw something in me, right? What we do is try to empower individuals who feel they don't have power. My big thing is education and social constructs, right? But they say social constructs and social currents. To explain what those are, a social construct is something that we all agree upon. We all agreed upon that there's such thing as a red light, right? That's law. You stop at the red light. If you pass the red light, that means you've broken the law, right?
Okay.
The negative social constructs is like the streets are mine, right? Blood in, blood out. Sometimes those can be weapons, right? Not physical guns to your head, but psychological guns. You imprison yourself with the belief system of the isms of the social constructs that you have in the street, right? The dealing of the drugs. This is the only path that I have. You lock into these beliefs so much that you become suicidal, like a suicidal individual from standing on top of the roof, believing that this is the only way out.
Yeah.
And he jumps. You believe that the streets is the only way out, and you never leave. So what we try to do is to lead them through the darkness, to lead them through that maze mentally, right? But the choice has to be theirs. We can show them that this the light, that's the tunnel. Right? These is the things you do one step at a time to lead yourself out. Right? Listen to my voice. Walk this way. And we do that by showing them and giving them examples of how to do that. Right? And why this road is better than that road. Sort of like being a credible messenger. I've done that. I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Right? Don't do it. Right? Every facet of what they've been through, more or less I've been through. And this is what we do as facilitators. I'm a facilitator for the ATI program, which is Alternative to Incarceration. We have case managers there who help them with getting ID, identification. You would not imagine how many people who don't have identification, birth certificates, social security cards, and things of that nature. It's prevalent out here for them to have that. Not only for them not having that, it's a shock to me coming from prison. And understand it. I mean, when I first went to the DMV to get my driver's license, I had left my departure papers. I forgot what you call those papers.
Yeah, your release papers.
Release papers, right?
Your release papers.
Yeah, my release papers, right? In the back of a friend's car.
Yeah.
And I went to motor vehicles 3 times. I'll never forget this. 3 times, and they kept denying me. I call it Shaniqua, right? I call it Shaniqua, like the one that be like, Barry, bang on the head, right? So I go to the window with Shaniqua's there, right? I'm like, I give it all the information, and I'm like, this is what I have. Shaniqua was like, no, you can't get it. So I'm like, this is information. So I'm like, where is it at? Where's my release papers? And Shanika was adamant that I was not going to get it, even though I'm standing right there. I gave her the light bill, the insurance information and everything, and I would not get it. So I actually got it from my friend. I said, look in the back of your car. I said, yeah, I have it right there in my car. I was pissed off. Like, why you didn't say nothing? So I went and got the release papers, and I came back, and I ran into Shaniqua again. And she was like, okay, you know, you got your release papers, you still can't get it. I said, hold on. So I went to Shaniqua boss, because Shaniqua got her boss the first time. And her boss was like, I actually wanted to take the test at the same time. So she was like, you can't take the test? I said, no. She said, okay, hold on for a minute. This is Shaniqua boss. So I watched her walk up to Shaniqua, and she's like, oh. Shaniqua looked over, and she sees me again, right? And he's back. So she was like, oh, yeah, you cleared now. So I went over there. Shaniqua was standing there. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, don't worry about it. No, it's all good. You know, it's part of the process, right? I think I learned a lot of resilience and patience while in prison. So, you know, I aced it, got 100. And I looked over just to be, you know, a smart ass. I said, oh, matter of fact, my screen is blurry. What was the score on that? You know, oh, you got 100. Oh, all right, thank you. You know, and they gave me my papers, and I was going. So I had the permit. So I was actually on the road the same day with the permit. And a few weeks later, I took the driver's exam and aced that. So I was on the road, and just being mobile, it just felt free. You know, that was the process to that. And the turning point in prison for me, not only was it my son, but it was a compilation of things. You know, just looking at the environment and wanting change. But that's the change had to come through us, right? The individuals I've made family, you know, in a lot of ways, individuals that in prison are more family than family. You know, it's tough to say that, but those are the ones you count on. You know, I mean, coming home, I haven't actually asked my family for too much, put the roof over my head. Everything that I basically have is from either myself or friends. You know, and it just strengthens that bond.
Right.
You know.
Now, how did it? You have any questions?
That's it.
Huh?
Finish your thought.
All right. Let's think. How good did that feel? Because you mentioned, you know, when you came home that you got a bank account, you got your ID, and I know, like, going in at such a young age when you're probably running the street. I don't think we ever had a license where we were driving from New York out of state. Did you, Trevor, you had a license?
Yeah, I always have mine.
Eric was what we call in Spanish guillao then.
Everybody.
But like, I just got my license, right, like a couple years ago. But how good did that feel, like, to actually open up a bank account? Did you ever have a bank account before?
No, but I did have a driver's license. I actually carried my driver's license from back then.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, from, I think it was 90.
Okay.
I actually carried that with me.
What, they had it in your property?
In my property.
They had it in your
But if
property.
I actually had that and showed up, I probably would have had an easy time with the DMV.
Yeah.
But, no, actually my first, I mean, I heard stories in prison about how individuals, you know, was afforded $200 credit limit.
Yeah.
But when I actually got my what's it?
Your bank account?
Yeah, well, one is a debit card and one is the actual credit card.
Right.
The debit card, I just put money in it. That was
right.
like, I used the money that I actually had. I put a little stash in there. But I was actually walking around with cash. I wasn't used to not having cash. I thought everything was still about cash,
right.
but the world changed. Everything was about cards.
Absolutely.
So I was using cash. An individual, when I purchased this very phone right here, I paid $1,400 for it. So when I went to, was it T-Mobile? To buy the phone, an individual followed me around. You gonna buy the phone? I said, yeah, I'm gonna buy the phone. You gonna buy the phone? I said, yeah, I'm gonna buy the phone. Man, why you following? I'm gonna buy the phone. But I didn't know that people didn't buy phones out here.
Right.
I thought when he was asking, I thought he was playing like.
Yeah.
But to him, he was shocked. I said, yeah, I'm gonna buy the phone. How much
Right.
your phone cost? $1,400. I'm gonna buy the phone.
Yeah, he was hoping that you sign up with your credit. And all
Exactly. He was hoping that I do a credit limit to pay monthly, but I bought the phone, and he was still looking at me like, yeah, you bought the phone. Like, yeah, I bought the phone.
And that's good. Congratulations. Those are little milestones, you know, those are little milestones, and these are, like, you know, things that are a reality. These are a necessity in the world that we live in, right? And just to go back for a second, right? You talk about facilitator, right? I know facilitator is like a teacher, right? You just facilitate a class. What classes do you facilitate here to help people that come through here to get the education that they need? Like, what are some of the classes that you're facilitating?
Well, we have the self model, written by Exodus itself. It's one thing. The self is safety. The E stands for emotion, loss, and future. So as far as the room, let's say, what would you do to keep yourself safe? If you know this block is filled with drugs, right, and you feel that your safety is jeopardized, then walk around. Don't walk through that block. If you don't feel safe in the conversation, then end the conversation, right? What I've learned, I tell them what I've learned is that I have two legs. The social construct is to stand there and to go through it, right? And to just debate and dispute. When you could just walk away.
Right.
You realize you have legs. It's walk away. Leave the person standing there if you feel that you're not safe or you feel that the conversation is not conducive to something positive. Walk away. You have that right, and you have two legs. There's no reason you should stand there and battle an individual, for no reason. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
serious.
human nature is just for us to continue to engage and always be the alpha dog and to win the argument. Absolutely. All right. And with that being said, this is gonna be my last question, and then I'm sure Eric has some questions for you. Where do you see yourself in the next 12 to 24 months? What is it that you want? Now, and I know you and I just had a conversation before, the cameras and everything was talking about, the simplicity of life, like little simple things of life. Like I remember the first time I moved down to Florida, not for nothing. I remember I was in a halfway house and I was sitting on this little pond and I saw a freaking hawk come down, like it was like 5:30 in the morning. I was sitting there and my mind was all messed up because I'm used to being in prison, right? And so now, I let my drug addiction get out of control, and now I'm down in Florida at some drug treatment center, living in a halfway house with a bunch of kids that I don't really know and really not on my caliber because, again, I'm from New York and I'm like this tough kid and I'm like, right? And I saw like this hawk come and grab this fish out the pond. And it was like, oh shit, wow. Like that was amazing. Like nature at its best, right? Yeah. But I didn't know what I really wanted out of life. And I still kept messing around with drugs and alcohol and stuff like that until it kind of beat me down. So you being here, and I know the little simple things for you, like walking, to the train station at 4 in the morning, catch that train to come to work, seeing the frogs and little simple things in the nature, right? Where do you see yourself in the next 12 to 24 months in your life to make yourself successful?
The first thing I want to do is to stockpile, financial capital, investment capital. That's number one. Once I finish reconstructing things that at the house, rather, finish building that empire, family structures first. Once that is complete, I think that the sky's the limit from there. Just moving up within the organization, within ATI as a team, become a better facilitator, business owner in the future, after I built the investment capital. After that, everything else is simple.
Well, I would like to, just say that, from me to you, we beat the odds. I think we both beat the odds, man. We where we at for a reason. There's a purpose for this. This time that we sharing together here, and I look at you as, my big brother. You probably don't think that. You probably think I'm the big brother, but that's how I look at you because you a mentor. People like Green Eyes, Sean Kyler, we just interviewed Julio. Like y'all inspired me to actually be better and do better, and so I'm a true believer in that each one teach one. And you display that day in and day out, and no nonsense. So you good at detecting that. We seen a brother just now down the stairs, and you no, come on, man, we ain't got time for that. Let's go. I ain't seen him for 30 years, bro. Come on, trust me. And he gonna be right there. It's 30 years from now. So you know what I mean? These are things that you helped me with my growth and development in life. I look forward to our time. I guess shedding a light on success after lockdown, and shedding that light on yourself and others, and grabbing our youth, catching our youth. This is the actual, platform for it, and we're here to do it. I also look forward to you actually giving interviews for Success After Lockdown, and actually capturing those individuals around you and their growth and development, around Exodus, and definitely look towards, that series, man, creating that series together, and that documentary.
Gotcha.
And I appreciate everything you did, man.
Gotcha.
From the time we gave birth together, man, and behind them walls in Clinton, and going, and I grew up with your son,
Yeah, definitely.
And like we always shared our stories together, man. We kept in touch. We kept our families in touch with each other, so that we can be here this day, man, and shine at this moment. And so I appreciate everything, man, and I look forward to us, doing bigger and better things in the near future, and I appreciate that. So, like, without further ado, man, we're gonna close this one, because you have to go interview your colleagues, man, and actually help to keeping this content and creation flowing. So at this time, I will pass it to my partner, Anthony Cologne.
Yeah, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege, first of all, to see any man like you, man, that I've been honored and privileged to sit down and talk with, to come home after doing such long stretches of prison, and to come home and still integrate into society in a positive manner. That you didn't come home resentful, angry, and yes, saying F it and let the system swallow you up. So, applause and kudos to you, because that's success in itself, right? To break the chain of saying, what, this is all I know, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm whatever. Right? You changing the dynamics of how you view yourself. Forget how I about see you, right? It's how you see yourself. And we're looking so forward for you walking around here with the camera to capture real live, he's ADD.
Just real live.
Yeah, real live. That boy's ADD out there, but no. To seeing this, man, because, this is not about us. This is about the next generation.
No doubt.
All right, we can teach them about the mistakes that we made, that they don't have to make it. Right, and it's okay to be the cool kid and not be the kid that have to follow everybody out. Because at the end of the day, I always say and I always believe, two commit a crime, one might get away, and you're gonna have to sit and do that time. All right, and so which one do you want to be with? Because either way, it's still gonna be all bad. Right? So you can either walk away and find your true voice and be who you truly are, or follow the masses and end up where we ended up at. Because not everybody's going to be successful, unfortunately, coming out of prison.
No doubt.
And just one more thing, me and you were just blessed, man, with the two sons that we had, and that we created this bond with, and that never been to prison. Neither one of our sons ever been to prison.
That is
mine's
amazing.
a film director, yours a police officer.
Yeah.
And I look forward to them and showing their success after lockdown, because they was locked down with us, man.
Yeah.
They did. My son, he definitely did every 27 years and 6 months of my incarceration. Definitely. Although I haven't seen him from 4 months old until 14 years old. That affected him as well. In that time that we didn't have that relationship. And so, I look forward to us, bringing this to life, bringing success after lockdown to life. And I appreciate it. Everything.
Yes, sir. What advice would you give?
Life is about making positive decisions, right? Mistakes, unheard of. The judge told me it wasn't a mistake. Was it a mistake that you put the gun in your hand? Was it a mistake that you loaded the gun? Was it a mistake that you clicked the gun back? Was it a mistake that you fired the gun? My response was no, they was poor choices. So the first thing you have to do is eliminate the way you think, right? Social constructs, and not make poor choices. Make correct choices. And here at Exodus, This is what we do. We help you sort through the rubbish to make positive choices. Sometimes your thoughts are clouded. We're here to uncloud them. You know, I work for ATI under the leadership of Carmen Arroyo, and that's what we do. You know, me and my team, we uncloud the fog. You know.
Boom. Man, this was another successful episode of Success After Lockdown. You know what I'm saying? Boom.
Peace.
Peace.